Let me ask you a question, Patriot. Don't you know that the liberals are literally trying to cancel Christmas? Don't you know that Brandon is literally going to destroy Christmas? Because you may have heard actually over the past few years, I have been hearing liberals say that this whole happy holidays thing actually, and you may have heard this, confirm me if you have, many liberals over the past few years have been saying that the whole happy holidays thing is actually a conservative psyop. They've actually, because I've heard this a lot, people going and saying, you know, nobody's really trying to change Merry Christmas to Happy Holidays. Like, I'll get up here as a liberal and say Merry Christmas to you. See, you're paranoid conservative. See, nobody's really trying to cancel Christmas. Well, you know, it looks like all the people who have been saying that over the past few years are looking pretty stupid right now because the governor of New York, the new governor, so, you know, everyone was very happy when Andrew Cuomo left. Well, it looks like the new governor of New York is no longer referring to Christmas trees as Christmas trees. She has renamed them adequately and appropriately to quote-unquote holiday trees. Yeah, so I know what we're going to say, right? Are the libtards trying to cancel Christmas? Look at the libtards at it again. Boomer to your take, I know. But I will also say, right, aside from this whole happy holidays, Merry Christmas, boomer style thing, right, I know your uncle is going to make a whole post on Facebook about how, hey, libs, hey, snowflakes, I'm going to say Merry Christmas, and if you don't like it, I don't care. I do things a little different around here, right? But no, in all seriousness, I think there is actually a serious debate and kind of a serious point behind all of this. And this is a message to the people who don't think it's a very big deal, right? To the people who don't really see why changing something like Merry Christmas to Happy Holidays or any of the sort of changes in our language that you've seen from liberals basically over the past century. I will turn to you and tell you one thing, and this is going to be the fundamental premise of this video, which is that language matters. And it matters so much, it is so important that I'll actually say it twice. So let me say it again. Language matters. That's the central point of this video, more so than, like, you know, obviously it's not a big deal necessarily that the governor of New York changed like one word in a tweet from what is traditional, but it is to say that the whole scale basically changing of the words that we use in our vernacular, right, in America and American culture, this stuff does matter. Because I know people are going to say, like, who cares? We're expressing the same idea or whatever. No, language is actually important. And let me ask you a question to the people, and specifically maybe to the people even on the right who don't think this type of stuff is a big deal, who don't think language in itself is a culture war that needs to be fought. Let me ask you this question. Why, if language doesn't matter, if language is just, you know, the change from Merry Christmas to Happy Holidays, not a big deal, bro, stop schizo posting or whatever. Okay, why exactly is it then that over the past century, liberal academics and media figures and basically in the culture in general have been pushing very hard and have basically succeeded now in renaming what Americans refer to their political system as from the word republic, okay, to the word democracy? Because for like 150 years in America, almost unanimously, our political system was referred to, for the most part in the vernacular, as a republic. Now it is referred to as a democracy. This was a very deliberate change. People tried on purpose to make all of this happen. So let me ask you that question. If it's just a word, bro, then why exactly were certain actors in our country so obsessed with changing the word republic to the word democracy? Did those liberals back then, who clearly have done a pretty good job of basically taking control of everything, did they just stop and say, well, you know, I know maybe we should call it a democracy, but, you know, what's the big deal? It's just a change of a word. It's not really going to matter. Or did they say, no, actually, language is powerful. Language has a lot of value. Language not only reflects what we think, but also kind of sets the tone, sets actual connotations for what we think. Therefore, if we want to shape a new society in our image, language is going to be a weapon that's going to be very powerful and very useful and very necessary to us. And let's actually also ask the question, you know, it's not a big deal. What has that change in language done? Because I would make the argument that the sole basically changing of the word republic to the word democracy actually has had a pretty big impact on American society. Americans, now that they connotate our political system not with being a republic, but rather being a democracy, I would argue that, and I'm pretty sure if you really compared it, modern Americans see their political system as being something very drastically different and have a very different perception of what the idealized vision of the American political system is supposed to be as compared to the people 100 to 150 years ago. Largely because what kind of comes to mind when you think of democracy, right? You think of direct power to the people, this and that, and that's what people seem to think all our political system is. It's like, oh, well, my voice needs to be heard, this and that, whereas a republic is something that kind of is more, slightly more, you could say, elitist, right? Something slightly more paternalistic, but also, a sort of more indirect, less democratic system. That's how people used to view their country. Now that's changed. It's my opinion as someone who is very anti-democracy that was a bad thing. But regardless of what your stance is on a republic or democracy, I don't think there's any denying that just changing that word alone, and now people associate the word republic with something mentally different than is democracy. Now that they associate their government with being a democracy as compared to a republic, people actually view their political system very, very differently, and as a result are now approaching their political system in the 21st century very, very differently. So, that's all to say, again, that language matters. The language that we use to describe the things in our society is no small thing. It is not just arbitrary bunch of words we are using, okay? The reality of the situation is that giving our political system the term democracy instead of the term republic gives our political system in itself a very different identity. And the same is true of something like saying Merry Christmas versus Happy Holidays. Because now in America, it is increasingly going to be the case that this is no longer Christmas season, right? This is now holiday season. So, I guess Christmas is a part of it, but there's also Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and whatever Muslims have. I don't know if they have, but it's just all this other stuff. It's the consumerist corporate holiday, right? All that stuff. And now, when you just honestly think about it honestly if you're kind of skeptical of the point I'm trying to make. Say the word Merry Christmas in your head. Imagine what you picture. What kind of comes to mind? What kind of connotations and imagery comes to mind versus the word Happy Holidays? Does something slightly different come to mind? You kind of see something different. You kind of perceive that the existence of that thing to be rather different. And I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. You kind of might see things to be a little bit different. And so, it is to say, again, that the language is powerful. And let me ask the Christians, and let me ask even the non-Christians, why do you think they're trying to change Merry Christmas to Happy Holidays? Do you think that's just not a big deal? Or do you think, maybe it has something to do with the fact that, Christmas, and I know, and to be fair, obviously, Christmas in America has obviously kind of become like a consumerist holiday that has largely abandoned Christ in itself, but still, still it does matter that you're taking a holiday that is supposed to be a celebration of the birth of Christ, right, the birth of the Savior of the world, and just rename that to some ambiguous, diverse melting pot. Oh, great analogy for modern America. But, obviously you're taking the Christian holiday and, changing it to just this diverse melting pot of whatever mumbo jumbo junk, right? And that's basically what you're running with. Why do you think they're trying to do that, right? Do you think they're pushing to rename Christmas and stop using the word Christmas because it's not a big deal, right? Would they be kind of actually focusing resources on this if it was not a big deal? And the answer is no. Of course it's a big deal. And of course this has everything to do with the changing of American identity, the identity of, in America, the holiday season is something that is very important, very big. The changing of that identity from Christmas to the quote-unquote holiday season, that is a very big deal. And quite frankly, that is very deliberate, and there certainly is a deeper motive, and liberals clearly do view this as seriously. So I would make the case we ought to view it as being a serious thing as well. Because language is a reflection of what we know and believe to be true as a society, but I would argue it's not just a reflection, right? It's not just a product of what we know and believe on the inside. I would argue, in many ways, actually, the reverse is true. The language we use sets the tone and sets the precedent and decides in the other direction what we know and believe to be true. There's an entire social science field actually dedicated to this. Now, let me be clear. As someone who generally disagrees with social science and generally considers social science to be fake, shut up, read the Bible. With that being said, because this confirms my worldview, largely I actually take this field of social science to be, for the most part, something that is true. Just kidding. But no, seriously, there's an entire kind of field of study known as linguistic relativity. And it basically studies the way in which the language we use and the system of language we use and the words we use actually change and impact and shape the way we like physically perceive the world around us, right? And you can actually study this, you know, things as basic concepts like space, color, and time actually are kind of impacted by the words and the kind of system of language we think and believe in our head, and that kind of shapes actually the way we think, okay? And so you can research linguistic relativity if you want. It's very interesting stuff, actually, in my opinion. But that's all to say, the language that we use to describe, you know, certain things in American society, the language we use precisely to describe aspects of American identity, yeah, it matters. And not only can it be a reflection of cringe liberal politics, it can actually set the tone, as we brought up with the example of, you know, kind of the word democracy actually kind of changing the perception of Americans' political system. It actually can proactively actually affect the way we begin to think, okay? And maybe that's precisely why, I don't know, liberals are trying so hard to use language and weaponize language as a weapon, okay? Let me say that language is powerful. And beyond that, let us kind of consider this, right? Let us kind of consider the ways in which language has been used against conservatism and, broadly speaking, kind of the traditional epic American nation. You know, think of a lot of other aspects of this, because it may have kind of happened in the dark, but you kind of notice that actually, as a matter of fact, a lot of these sort of national slogans of America have slowly been erased, renamed, and changed. You know, the national motto of our country still technically is, but kind of historically used to be perceived and accepted as E pluribus unum, which literally means out of many, one. Okay, and that has been now kind of changed in the vernacular, renamed to diversity is our strength, embrace diversity, words and phrases like this. Take another phrase. How about, you know, in God we trust, right? And now, for a few decades, that has sort of been our thing. In God we trust. Now, what do we say? We say coexist, right? That's kind of the reusing of the language. Kind of to go back, you know, when you were going into battle, people used to kind of say, for the Republic, right? For the Republic, which honestly is epic. You know, honestly is epic. I know people like to LARP as, you know, kings and monarchs and Caesars and all that stuff, and that stuff is cool, don't get me wrong, okay? I, too, am an autistic teenage boy. I, too, think those aesthetics are epic. But, you know, the sort of for the Republic, kind of like old school American aesthetic, it actually is cool. And I would argue, you know, it actually feels like something also worth LARPing for and worth, you know, fighting for too, right? But now, of course, the people don't say that anymore. What do they say? We're going to protect democracy, save democracy. Yeah, that sounds cringe. That sounds stupid. That sounds weak. That does not sound really like a country or a political system that I'd really want to, like, dedicate my life to. Well, oh, exactly. That's the point, is it not? Is it not? Right. So, you know, it's all again to say, happy holidays from Merry Christmas. One thing, you may not think it's a big deal. I'd argue it is a very big deal, because every, you know, mothers to birthing persons, I'm sure you've seen stuff like that too. All that stuff, it is actually a big deal. It actually does matter, because, you know, like we reiterate, the use of language is powerful. Language is powerful in itself. Liberals have used language against us in a very genius, in a very particular way. And, you know, if we want to kind of go back on that, you want to shift the Overton window back right, you want to make America a conservative nation, hypothetically again, well, there's many things that are going to have to happen, which, you know, now that it's December, we're kind of setting the new tone for the new year. I may make a lot of videos about different things that conservatives have to do, in theory, to retake the country, but I'm sorry, you can't ignore the value of language. Language is one such thing. Language is going to matter. And reclaiming the language and not caving to the kind of liberal redefinitions of our language, at least anymore, that's all going to matter. Okay, so we're saying Merry Christmas, we're saying mothers, we're saying for the Republic, we're saying in God we trust, and you know what? You know what, Patriot? There's literally nothing that the snowflakes can do about it. It's so true. So Merry Christmas, Brandon. You know, again, follow me on Get or whatever. Okay, that's my whatever, my boomer conservative impression. But still, seriously, it doesn't matter. All right, see you guys later. Have a good day. I have finals right now, so I don't know how much the content will be churning out exactly, but I'm going to try. We're going to try our best. It's called We Do a Little Bit of Dedication. So I'll see you guys later. God bless. John 3:16, good night or good evening or wherever you are. Alpha moves only. Did I already say that? I think I already said that, so I'm just going to cut the video off. See you guys later. Peace. Hey there, Patriots. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I don't actually have Getter. Maybe I should make a Getter. I don't know. But I don't have one as of now. But be sure to follow me actually on the other alt techs. I have Telegram and I have Odyssey. Okay, those are my main ones. So be sure to do that. Links in the description. Be sure to follow me also on my regular social medias. Okay, Instagram, Twitter, very big ways to keep up with me because you know we don't not always super active on YouTube every day. We are active on at least one social media platform. So Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Snapchat, even Getter. I don't have Getter. Why did I just? Okay, I'm just gonna cut the video off. Be sure to follow me on social media. Okay, and consider becoming a member. It's very epic stuff. See you guys later. Peace.